Great North News to the Rockbound Coast and streaming live in HD worldwide at foxbangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, a decision made by the Maine Supreme Judicial Court ruled that ranked choice voting will continue to be used for federal elections. We'll have the details ahead. Plus, advocates gathered at the State House to support a bill aimed to protect medical cannabis patients. And 2 Maine forest rangers were awarded yesterday for life-saving efforts. We'll bring you that story coming up as well. Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop. Craig Colson is off for the day. We'll have those stories and much more coming up. And as always, we thank you for joining us. The weather today looks like it'll be a partly cloudy day with temperatures maybe reaching the 40s and maybe a slight chance of flurries later on tonight as well. Let's start off this morning by getting a first check of our forecast. Chase Ropanek joins us now.
Thank you very much. Your morning weather is brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes, now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote at 207-263-3421. All right, so for those temperatures today, another cool one out there. We'll see highs reach back into the low 40s here in Bangor momentarily. We'll cool back off. Many of us surrounding Bangor are going to be a little bit cooler today, hanging out in the mid to upper 30s as we have some low pressure passing by the state for today. That will bring some rain and snow showers, staying light and scattered. Dew points still have to get up into the 20s once we get into the afternoon hours. Mainly going to see the scattered snow showers make their way here this evening here in Bangor. Could see a few rain showers out there before, but then to the early overnight hours for tonight, a few quick bursts of snow, not going to add up to much on the surface, and we'll see that pass by early on. A few breezy winds, and then they'll stay light throughout the rest of the night, leading to sunshine for your Wednesday and warmer temperatures as well. So that wind out there going to stay fairly light throughout the day. As you can see into the evening hours, still pretty light as the center of the low passes by. Once we get into the 10 o'clock hours, some winds can reach gusts near 20, but they will not last long at all. So for your hour-by-hour forecast for today, right around 1 o'clock, we'll reach near 40 degrees. Hang out there for a few hours, and the temperatures fall back into the 30s as we get a few chances for snow going into this evening.
Thank you, Chase. We'll see you a little later on. Well, first this morning, a decision handed down yesterday by the Maine Supreme Judicial Court means ranked choice voting will continue to be used only for federal election races. The state's high court had been asked to render a decision on whether a bill that sought to establish ranked choice voting for certain state offices complied with the Maine Constitution. The court concluded it does not. According to the court's decision, ranked choice voting has been used to elect U.S. senators, U.S. representatives, and presidents, but years ago was rejected as a means to elect state reps, senators, and governors. LD 1666 sought to reestablish ranked choice voting for those offices. But when the bill landed on the governor's desk last June, she questioned the bill's constitutionality. A joint decision from both houses of the legislature sent it to a higher court for consideration. The High Court has now concluded that the bill and the use of ranked choice voting for these state races would violate the Maine's Constitution requirement that those races be decided by a plurality of votes, not a majority, meaning the winner is the one who receives more votes than any other, but not necessarily a majority or more than half of all votes cast. That decision was unanimous. Maine Republican Party Chairman Jim Deyermond spoke out praising that court's decision. In a statement, he said, quote, "Today is a good day. The Constitution of Maine is preserved and respected, and this decision provides clarity against efforts to pollute our state's elections with ranked choice voting. Even in times when we often mistrust our institutions, we can rely upon our Constitution and deliberative justices to render the correct decision," end quote. Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows also weighed in, saying, quote, "Based on today's ruling, ranked choice voting will be used in the June primary but not in the November general election, just as has been the case for prior elections. In essence, nothing has changed. Mainers have repeatedly supported the use of ranked choice voting, which empowers voters to vote for their preferred candidate without worrying that voting for their top choice might result in their least favorite winning." Meanwhile, public health advocates convened in the Hall of Flags at the State House yesterday to recognize National Public Health Week. 14 organizations from Maine's public health sector came together to address a wide variety of issues, such as food insecurity and protecting Maine's water from PFAS and radon. Many groups were also advocating for funding. According to the Maine Public Health Association, National Public Health Week aims to celebrate all the sector has accomplished to keep our communities healthy and safe.
It really gives us a chance to, I think, uplift the hard work that people in public health do every day, oftentimes behind the scenes, that kind of grunt work behind the scenes to help protect our communities. And so we have a whole week that we get to dedicate to that. It's both to the work that we do and to the people who do that work.
More events are scheduled this week throughout the state, including a public health career panel this Thursday at the University of Maine in Orono. To learn more, you can visit mainepublichealth.org. Republicans spoke out at the State House to highlight the Rural Health Transformation Program, which they claim Governor Mills at one point jeopardized. In President Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill, $50 billion was earmarked for the states to support rural health care, specifically rural hospitals. Roughly $200 million was supposed to be for the state of Maine. Republicans claim that the Mills administration missed repeated deadlines or milestones pertaining to receiving that funding. They did not cite specific examples. However, they lauded Senator Susan Collins for fighting for the state of Maine to get that funding and for making sure it wasn't lost.
She not only secured the $200 million earmark, but then now has had to play the role of Department of Health and Human Services bureaucrat too, just to save those funds and make sure that they actually make it into the state of Maine. And that's only a result of the fact that she happens to have a relationship with Dr. Oz over at the federal department and interceded on our behalf. Had she not done that, those funds would be gone.
Well, in other news this morning, a coalition of health professionals and child health advocates also gathered at the State House to support a bill that aims to protect medical cannabis patients. Opponents fear the bill would lead to increased costs that could impact small cannabis shops. Our Grace Blanchard shares more.
According to health leaders, Maine is the only state in the country where medical cannabis is not required to be tested and tracked. LD 1847 aims to change that.
We want to make sure that these very long overdue and basic patient protections are put in place.
Unlike adult use cannabis, medical cannabis is not required to be tested for harmful contaminants like pesticides, heavy metals, or mold. The bill's sponsor, Representative Annie Graham, says it would implement regulations that are in line with existing rules for recreational cannabis.
It improves safety and transparency in the medical cannabis program, something that is long overdue.
Advocates warn the current lack of oversight puts patients at risk, especially pediatric patients who don't have access to adult use cannabis.
Those patients have to navigate the gray zones of the medical cannabis industry and try to find product that is properly tested. That shouldn't be their problem. It should be a standard across the board.
The bill has received pushback from opponents who argue these efforts could drive up prices, impacting smaller cannabis shops.
This bill is a proxy fight for the large cannabis corporations trying to put the mom and pop growers out of business.
Representative Graham says the legislation would exempt small growers as long as they label products as untested, and grant opportunities will be available.
I recognize it is expensive, but that I think it's important for the safety of patients.
The bill is currently in the Veterans and Legal Affairs Committee and is expected to hit the House and Senate floors in the coming days. In Augusta, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, an annual campaign to honor survivors, lift up their voices, and bring communities together in the fight to prevent sexual violence. This year marks the 25th anniversary of that movement, recognized by the National Sexual Violence Resource Center. Local leaders with rape response services say the issue remains urgent, with 1 in 5 Mainers experiencing sexual violence at some point in their lives, making awareness more important than ever. The executive director says open conversation is key to ending that cycle.
It's a public health issue. We need to talk about public health issues in order to solve them together as communities. When we don't talk about it, it makes survivors feel shame and stigma, and that shame and stigma leads to silence, and that silence allows sexual violence to happen.
Today, April 7th, is a National Day of Action, with people encouraged to wear teal as a symbol of a support in survivors and a commitment to prevention. If you or someone you know has been a victim of sexual assault and needs help, you can call the Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault at 800-871-7741, which will connect you to a local advocate. You can find that information and more on the National Sexual Violence Resource Center or on our website at foxbangor.com. 2 Maine Forest Rangers were honored yesterday for their life-saving efforts one day back in July that helped save a woman's life. Maine Forest Ranger Sergeant Brian Getchell and Ranger Ryan Maker received the life-saving award. Back on July 16th of 2025, Getchell and Maker were conducting routine campsite checks along Machias River. They came upon a couple. The female showed signs of discomfort and other worrying symptoms. The Rangers recognized signs of a serious cardiac or neurological emergency and immediately took action. They called for assistance and moved her to a site where EMS could get to them and then transported her to Bangor for care.
By recognizing critical symptoms early, initiating emergency response without delay, and guiding the patients to accessible medical care, Rangers Maker and Sergeant Getchell played a crucial role in preventing a potential fatal outcome.
Meanwhile, last week, Mount Desert Island High School was put in lockdown, but that was not the first time the school faced a hoax event. 3 years ago, when today's seniors were freshmen, they faced a similar situation. Officials say they learned a lot from that first emergency and revised how they respond. As our Alex Schley tells us, parents say the difference is clear.
Friday, Mount Desert Island High School was placed on lockdown after school administrators received what law enforcement initially believed was a credible threat. Several parents who spoke with ABC7 and Fox 22 Friday say they'd been through school emergencies before. On November 1st, 2022, Mount Desert Island High School went into a lockdown after administration received a similar threat. However, parents say that situation was handled much differently.
My stepdaughter was a freshman when that took place, and if they were outside, they had to just run.
Meanwhile, students inside were left in the dark for hours.
The teachers weren't telling us anything. We were getting updates from other students online.
When students were reunited with their families nearly 5 hours later, they say there was still very little information officials would give them. Since then, police and first responders say they've made changes focused on training, communication, and preparation.
We learned that any sort of event, it's really important that everybody knows what the protocols are and why they are the way they are. And we practice them as much as possible. And by doing that, that creates the atmosphere to know when that alarm goes off, they know what to do.
Bar Harbor police say in addition to refining their practices, since the 2022 lockdown, they have also attended additional training.
We actually just this spring have done a joint training drill with state agencies as well as us for these types of responses.
Parents say the changes in preparation showed.
You had to go through it already with your stepdaughter 3 years ago.
This time around, a little bit different.
A little bit more serious.
Friday's lockdown lasted less than 45 minutes. And before students left school, officials told them they believed the threat was a hoax. Parents say communication was also much better, with many saying they were able to speak directly with law enforcement. Parents say while the situation was still frightening, the response this time made all the difference. In Bar Harbor, Alex Schley for ABC7 and Fox 22 News.
The time now is 8:13. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, a brewer business was recognized and credited for their technology services. We'll have the latest on that. But first, let's take another look at our forecast. For today, mostly cloudy skies with a chance of rain and snow later on today, temperatures in the 40s. Overnight tonight, snow early with some decreasing clouds, temperatures dipping down to around 20. And for tomorrow, pretty nice day, mostly sunny skies, highs around 45. We'll be right back.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Everyone deserves to be connected. Big cities, small towns, everywhere in between. And staying connected shouldn't break the bank. That's why T-Mobile and US Cellular have joined forces. And now that we've combined networks, T-Mobile covers more places than ever before. America's best network just got bigger. Join now and your plan price is guaranteed for 5 years. T-Mobile and US Cellular, better together.
Hey! That ought to do it. Who hurt you?
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
It's back, Bangor! The Greater Bangor Area Music Showcase returns with the fan favorite music off Broadway. Join Roger George and his talented musicians for an unforgettable show, all to support Rotary's work in our local community. Saturday, April 11th at 7 p.m. and Sunday, April 12th at 3 p.m. Getting your tickets is easy. Just scan the QR code on your screen. Bring your friends, bring your family, and enjoy a show that makes a difference. Don't miss it.
A business in Brewer has plenty to be proud of after receiving a prestigious award. This company is credited with making technology that makes our U.S. military stronger. According to Senator Susan Collins' office, Compotech, a defense technology company based in Brewer, has been named the Small Business Administration's New England Small Business Manufacturer of the Year. Other SBA Annual Small Business Award winners include Spud Speedway in Caribou, Fundamental Foot Care in Hamden, and Rick's Redemption in Presque Isle. Congratulations to all of those winners. A heads up for anyone traveling through Bangor on Interstate 95. There's some scheduled road work in the area of Stillwater Avenue. The Maine DOT will begin clearing the median to start the process of replacing 3 major I-95 overpasses in Bangor. The Stillwater Ave Bridge will go from 2 bridges to a single-span bridge. The Conduskeg Avenue Bridge will be replaced with a shorter, high-clearance bridge span. There will be traffic updates from the Maine DOT on their Facebook page and public social media. A local car dealership gave a boost to hospice volunteers of Hancock County so they can continue helping Mainers. Hospice Volunteers supports patients on hospice care and provides other services like lending out medical equipment, advanced care planning, and community education as well. Meanwhile, Stanley Subaru has been running their Roundup for Change program, which asks guests to round up their purchases to the nearest dollar. All the proceeds go to local nonprofits. The hospice organization says Stanley Subaru has been a steady source of support over the years.
We really do count on our donors. We count on sponsors from the community for our events. We count on organizations such as Stanley Subaru, again, who continues to just find ways to give to us. And this roundup for March is another way they've done that.
Hospice Volunteers of Hancock County received a check for $625 from Stanley Subaru thanks to their Roundup for Change program. Well, it's one of the places that some almost fear these days, pulling up to the gas pump. Our friends at Gas Buddy took a look at last week's surge in prices, and it's not looking too good. The research says that the average gasoline price in Maine has risen just under 14 cents per gallon in the last week, the average being at $3.96 a gallon. And the numbers don't get better from there. Maine is up 64.5 cents per gallon from a month ago. Meanwhile, the national average price of diesel has increased 20.7 cents compared to a week ago and now stands at $5.57 per gallon. The time now is 8:18. After the break, new pictures and new details emerging from the Artemis crew now heading back to Earth. Plus, a popular Ellsworth business is now under new ownership. We'll tell you more as Good Morning Maine continues.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson & Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
Craving something delicious? Welcome to High Street Market, located at 167 Enfield Road in Lincoln. Breakfast options? Grab a cup of coffee and try one of our sandwiches or burritos. When breakfast is over, we're just getting started. Pizza, subs, burgers, and pastries. Come get lost in Danny's Beer Cave. Order online and save 10% off your first order. High Street Market, where your taste buds go to party.
When you get a little shout out at work, melt into your moment. Irresistibly smooth Lindor.
From me, the Lindt Master Chocolatier.
Taxes was feeling unwelcome. Now Taxes is an open door to new TurboTax stores. Meet our experts. They do your taxes, so you can walk out with confidence. Intuit TurboTax. Don't wait. File by 4/15.
When I was 29, I was diagnosed with cancer. And I think part of research and advocating for more money for cancer research allows survivors to have more time. Senator Collins supports and advocates for more funding for cancer research so that people can have better treatments, they can have better outcomes, and therefore they can live better lives as cancer survivors. Thank you, Senator Collins. Continue fighting for our families.
After 30 years of serving classic Maine dishes, a popular Ellsworth restaurant is under new ownership, marking a big change for a longtime local favorite. Our Alexa Kennedy with more.
We've kind of been somewhat of a dinosaur. We haven't changed much over 30 years because when people come to Maine, they want a shore dinner, they want lobster stew, they want a lobster roll, they want blueberry pie, so we give them what they want.
Brian Langley built the business in 1996 on a former fish market site in Ellsworth. Buyer Diwatepa, who Langley says has extensive experience in hospitality, plans to keep much of what customers have come to love.
We wanted to invest in our community in Ellsworth, sees us very viable, loves what we do, and the reputation and the people that work for us and our customers.
Langley says he passed down multiple award-winning top-secret recipes that he hopes customers will continue to enjoy. He says he appreciated getting the opportunity to impact his community.
But when I look at all the people that have come through here in 30 years, we've had doctors, lawyers, nurses, and all of these kids started their very first job here at the restaurant, bussing tables, washing dishes, waiting tables through college.
In Ellsworth, Alexa Kennedy, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The time now is 8:22. Let's get a full look at our forecast. Meteorologist Chase Ropanek is in with the latest.
All right, thank you very much. Your main weather for this morning is brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard as well. We stopped ticks and mosquitoes, now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote at 207-263-3421. All right, so those temperatures for today will reach into the low 40s. Some pretty cloudy skies will be making their way in this afternoon as we have some low pressure arriving for today. So you can see off to the west, you're getting the clouds earlier on, keeping you in the mid to upper 30s out there for today and hanging out in the mid to upper 20s, well, further north as well. So our average highs this time are around 49. Definitely not doing that for today or tomorrow as well, even though we'll have sunshine, but that sunshine continues into your Thursday and Friday. So temperatures continue to increase as well. We could be reaching your 60 for your Friday afternoon. We'll have a cold front pass through Friday night, bringing some showers to the area, so we're cooling off momentarily Saturday. But then Sunday and Monday, we're warming right back up with those mid to upper 50s, staying above average into next week. So wind out there for today, going to stay fairly light throughout this morning into the afternoon hours. You can see here at 5 o'clock, pretty light winds here, especially along your coastline as well. But that will be the center of the low passing by, and maybe some scattered snow showers out there at this time of the day. As we get into tonight's right around 10 o'clock, the backside of that low pressure will be passing by, so momentarily winds can gust in your 20 miles per hour, maybe 30 near your coastline. But again, as we get into your Wednesday morning, they're going to lighten up and stay a little breezy at times, maybe gusting your 15 miles per hour, but otherwise pretty light throughout your Wednesday afternoon. So as we see out there for today, here comes the clouds making their way in right around noon, and will stay cloudy throughout the rest of the day. And yes, scattered snow showers. Some of us can stay dry. It depends on where your dew points are at. It is going to be hard for this to reach a surface at first, but then right around 5 o'clock or so, they'll have some better chances for that precipitation to reach a surface. And around 10 o'clock tonight, a few quick bursts of snow passing on by, but then the rest of the night we're staying dry. Cooler temperatures falling to the upper teens and low 20s for lows, but as we head into your Wednesday afternoon, Plenty of sunshine out there. That's going to warm us up back into the mid-40s, and we're going to keep the high pressure in place. Plenty of sunshine for your Thursday all the way into your Friday as well. So for today, highs near 40 degrees. We've got a few rain and snow showers we can see late in the day. Otherwise, we'll see increasing clouds becoming mostly cloudy. As we go into tonight, some quick bursts of snow early on, then decreasing clouds and cooling off with lows just near 20 degrees. For tomorrow, that sunshine is here. The high pressure is settling in. We'll see highs right around 45. So taking a look at your extended forecast, we're going to continue to slowly warm up with the sunshine for your Wednesday. Your Thursday into your Friday will be reaching near 60 degrees then. We'll see a few rain showers Friday night, and that will cool us off Saturday with cloudy skies and highs near 47 degrees.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust. We get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Meet the toughest team in the game. Bad Boy Mowers and Bad Boy Tractors. These powerhouses will do whatever it takes to win. Putting in the work with unrivaled engineering, game-changing features like heated seats and an Alpine entertainment system, plus durable implements and style that's in a league of its own. Bad Boy Mowers and Tractors. Power, performance, attitude.
Even if you have moderate to severe eczema, you can feel the rhythm, feel the flow. And Dupixent helps you feel the heal. It helps calm the key source of inflammation under the skin that can cause eczema. Some adults saw fast itch relief after the first dose, and long-lasting clear skin at 1 year. Many even saw 90% clear skin. Severe allergic reactions, including skin reactions, can occur. Get help right away for face, mouth, tongue, or throat swelling, wheezing, or trouble breathing. Tell your doctor of new or worsening eye problems like eye pain or vision changes, skin symptoms, joint aches and pain, or a parasitic infection. Don't change or stop other treatments without talking to your doctor. Stay ahead of eczema and help heal your skin from within. Dupixent, the #1 prescribed biologic by dermatologists and allergists. Ask your eczema specialist about Dupixent today.
Dreaming of a new garage or custom build? Patriot Landscaping and Construction delivers from frame to finish. Expert craftsmanship, durable designs, and quality you can trust. We get it done right. Call Patriot Landscaping and Construction today. Let's build your future together.
Now to the war in Iran. Today is the deadline set by President Trump for Iran to make a deal that includes opening the Strait of Hormuz or face steep consequences. The president essentially threatening to blow up the entire country, including critical infrastructure like bridges and power plants, marking his most striking escalation yet. Iran responding overnight to the president's threats. ABC's Olivia Rubin with more.
This morning, deadline day. President Trump giving Iran until 8 p.m. tonight to make a deal to end the war and open the Strait of Hormuz, or he will, quote, take the entire country out.
Where every power plant in Iran will be out of business, burning, exploding, and never to be used again. I mean, complete demolition by 12 o'clock.
Some raising questions about the legality of an attack on civilian infrastructure. The president, though, dismissing those concerns.
Are you concerned that your threat to bomb power plants and bridges amount to war crimes?
No, not at all. No, I'm not.
Trump laser focused on reopening the Strait of Hormuz, the critical waterway for the passage of 20% of the world's oil. The closure sending global oil prices skyrocketing. Here at home, a gallon of gas averaging $4.13 this morning. Trump insisting Iran wants a deal. But overnight, Iran responding, a spokesperson slamming the, quote, rude rhetoric, arrogance, and baseless threats of the delusional U.S. president. And Iran continuing to show its firepower. New video online showing one of Iran's multiple strikes in the region targeting energy infrastructure, an oil facility in Bahrain. Meanwhile, the military sharing new details of the extraordinary rescue of a U.S. airman trapped in the Iranian mountains for more than 2 days after his fighter jet was downed.
He scaled cliff faces, bleeding rather profusely, treated his own wounds, and contacted American forces to transmit his location.
And the president has had mixed messages here about whether the war is winding down or escalating. Trump now saying point blank he doesn't know, adding this is a critical period. Olivia Rubin, ABC News, Washington.
Now to the backlash over plans to build a new data center in one city that could help fuel artificial intelligence. The debate apparently sparking violence. ABC's Hannah Battah has that story.
The FBI is now investigating after more than a dozen shots were fired into the home of an Indianapolis city councilor.
My son was at home, so that says a lot about his humanity or her humanity. I don't know if it's male or female. I don't know who it is, but I would just want to know why.
Ron Gibson says 13 shots were fired into his door, and a note was found reading "No data centers." Days earlier, he voiced support for a controversial plan to build a local data center, a project like hundreds of others nationwide that have become a flashpoint in the race to further develop artificial intelligence.
Construction is expected to support roughly 300 jobs over a 3-year period.
Despite the opposition,
if you were here against the project, quietly stand up.
The project is moving forward. Right now, about 3,000 data centers are being built or planned across the country. They use huge amounts of electrical power, often requiring costly upgrades to local power grids and higher electric bills for local residents.
People's energy bills around the country are skyrocketing.
Some Democrats want new regulations, but President Trump recently announced tech companies have agreed to absorb the costs.
These companies are committing to provide or pay for all power generation and electricity needed for their AI projects.
Hannah Battah, ABC News, New York.
Well, oh, whoops, hold on, let me scroll back up. Just a moment, everyone, so sorry. Now to the Artemis mission on the moon, the crew seeing something no human has ever seen before. ABC's Sophie Flay with the latest.
The Artemis 2 crew is heading back towards Earth after their historic trip around the far side of the moon, going deeper into space than anyone ever before.
Integrity crew. On April 15, 1970, during the Apollo 13 mission, 3 explorers set the record for the farthest distance humans have ever traveled from our home planet. Today, for all humanity, you're pushing beyond that frontier.
For several hours, the crew took turns observing features on the moon never seen by human eyes, capturing high-resolution images while narrating what they were seeing.
The view of the South Pole is quite amazing.
Mission Commander Reed Weissman's excitement while approaching the moon prompted NASA to give this reply.
Kathy Moonjoy.
Now, those words, Moonjoy, have become a catchphrase of the mission, with t-shirts already being sold online. The astronauts also got to view this incredible total solar eclipse when the Orion spacecraft, moon, and sun all aligned. But the day was also marked by somber moments. The team embracing after they suggested naming a crater on the moon for Weissman's wife, Carol, who died of cancer.
It's a bright spot on the moon, and we would like to call it Carol.
Mission specialist Christina Cook noted the moon looked very different up close, observing shades of brown and blue instead of the familiar gray. The 4 astronauts lost contact with mission control during an expected communications blackout, while the moon blocked their signal. They came back online after about 45 minutes. Overnight, President Trump called in to congratulate the crew.
You've really inspired the entire world. Really, everybody's watching.
Sophie Flay, ABC News, New York.
Coming up on the second half of the newscast, kids in Colorado got treated to an extreme Easter egg hunt in cowboy fashion. This and more as Good Morning Maine continues.
Taxes was chasing updates. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert doing it all for you, so you can chase this feeling. Now this is Taxes. Don't miss the deadline. File by 4/15.
Is that a compression nut?
Oh! Ah! Ow.
We got a duct taper.
Playing it safe won't propel Maine forward. Conservative Jonathan Bush agrees. A new kind of Bush. He believes Maine needs to diversify our economy, cut property and income taxes. Conservative, Republican, disruptor. Jonathan Bush for governor.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
A major rescue mission just came to its conclusion in New York City, and it involved a wayward parakeet. It took a whole team of folks over nearly 3 months to make sure one parakeet could be safe and sound. ABC's Danny New with that story.
This is May May, who seems to love dancing to Taylor Swift's newest album, but who for months was also flying around New York Central Park without a home.
That's the story of May May, is that everybody contributed sightings.
This story begins in late August when J.P. Boreham joined the rescue mission to catch this parakeet before it got cold.
We can never know where May May actually came from, but May May is a budgie or a parakeet, which means she should be in Australia.
Liz Cabrera-Holtz from the nonprofit World Animal Protection says May May most likely was abandoned or escaped from a pet store, and they've seen similar reports that did not end well when the weather turned cold. However, JP and her friends were determined to not let that happen.
Sean and I were out there, pretty much almost every day.
While May May was cozying up to a flock of sparrows for warmth, JP was making maps like these almost every day to track her movements. Finally, after 10 weeks, May May got comfortable on the ground long enough for JP to come over and drop the net swiftly.
Was that like one of the best moments of your life?
Yeah. Probably the best moment of my life.
For the next 5 months at JP's apartment, May May got to enjoy plenty of snacks. And yes, Taylor Swift sing-alongs, before at last, a few months ago, when a spot opened up at a wildlife sanctuary in Rhode Island called Foster Parrots. JP and Liz drove up to drop her off at her new forever home. And as you can see, she's already got plenty of new buddies in a nice, temperature-controlled environment. And JP and Liz told me there were a lot of close calls with May May. There was apparently a falcon that was trying to get after her. They had to chase May May out of the street to save her from a car at one point, not to mention the incoming cold of winter. So thank you, JP's net. In New York, for ABC News, I'm Danny New.
Meanwhile, Ukrainians take comfort in seeing displaced animals being released into the wild while their country continues to battle with Russia. More than 1,000 people gathered in a nature park in Ukraine late on Saturday to witness bats being released into the night sky. The crowd cheering as the creatures take flight with their newfound freedom. Hundreds of bats were rescued earlier that day, many from war-torn areas in East Ukraine. The event, which was held to celebrate the start of spring, offered a sense of relief after a harsh winter and regular attacks from Russia. The war has impacted bats by destroying their shelters and startling them with loud noises. All 28 bat species are considered protected animals in Ukraine due to their declining populations. Now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Chase Ropanak.
Thank you very much. Your morning weather is brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard. We stop ticks and mosquitoes, now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote at 207-263-3421. All right, so for those temperatures today, another cool one out there. We'll see highs reach back into the low 40s here in Bangor momentarily. We'll cool back off. Many of us surrounding Bangor are going to be a little bit cooler today, hanging out in the mid to upper 30s as we have some low pressure passing by the state for today. That will bring some rain and snow showers, staying light and scattered. Dew points still have to get up into the 20s once we get into the afternoon hours. Mainly going to see the scattered snow showers make their way here this evening here in Bangor. Could see a few rain showers out there before, but then to the early overnight hours for tonight. A few quick bursts of snow, not going to add up to much on the surface, and we'll see that pass by early on. A few breezy winds, and then they'll stay light throughout the rest of the night, leading to sunshine for your Wednesday and warmer temperatures as well. So that wind out there going to stay fairly light throughout the day. As you can see into the evening hours, still pretty light as the center of the low passes by. Once we get into the 10 o'clock hours, some winds can reach gusts near 20, but they will not last long at all. So for your hour-by-hour forecast for today, right around 1 o'clock, we'll reach near 40 degrees. Hang out there for a few hours, and the temperatures fall back into the 30s as we get a few chances for snow going into this evening.
Thank you, Chase. Now for the latest on what's happening in Hollywood, here's ABC's Melissa Dawn.
Grammy Award winners Lady Gaga and Doechii have teamed up for a song for The Devil Wears Prada 2. A sneak peek of the song can be heard at the end of the final trailer for the highly anticipated sequel, which was released on Monday. The Devil Wears Prada 2 is set to release on May 1st. Disney is the parent company of 20th Century Studios and ABC News.
The sky is darkening and the beast is close at hand.
Netflix has released their first trailer for Lord of the Flies. The Emmy Award-winning co-creator of Adolescence, Jack Thorne, has adapted the dystopian classic for the silver screen. Lord of the Flies is set to premiere on May 4th. And happy birthday to Academy Award winner Francis Ford Coppola, who is 87 today. That's what's happening in Hollywood. Melissa Dawn, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Still to come here this morning, Jack Webb with sports. Don't go away.
You come to a credit union to work because you actually like helping people.
You get to be a part of really life-changing moments.
It builds a really rewarding professional career.
And that's why I like credit unions.
$1 million every year for the rest of my life, and maybe yours too.
Need a driveway paved or an entire road surfaced? Give Eaton Paving and Excavation a call. Eaton Paving offers a full line of excavation packages, from new home projects to new and replacement septics and driveways. We also install new shoreland and do shoreland repairs. Our operators have more than 75 years combined experience, and we have been delivering quality, professional service for nearly 3 decades. We strive to exceed your expectations. Give us a call today at 207-348-5630 or visit us at EatonPaving.com.
It's Saturday, and you're giving it up like a sacrificed butt. Because tonight, the meat of the order is up.
It's gone!
Red Sox.
Oh, what a catch!
Cards.
My goodness, wow!
In prime time on Fox. If it's Saturday night, it's baseball night in America. Saturday at 7 Eastern on Fox. Check local listings.
I love baseball cards. Recently, I had a collection that I sold to an online buyer. I went to the credit union to cash the check. I had a good conversation with them, and they told me that this was likely an overpayment scam. They're really great about explaining it so that I have the resources to help myself in the future.
Your goal is to put items in the correct order before, in between, definitely after.
This is The Perfect Line. Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Welcome back in, folks. I hope you had a great first weekend of April, because Cooper Flagg certainly did. After becoming the first teenager to score 51 points on Friday night, Flagg was right back at it on Easter Sunday. 34-128 win over the Lakers. Cooper Flagg poured in 45 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds, including 19 of those 45 points in the first quarter. He picked up right where he left off, and the Mavs needed all of it to get past the Lakers on Sunday. He outdueled one of the greatest of all time in LeBron James, who scored 30. Here's Flagg on playing against one of the game's legends.
You know, I think it's pretty cool. Obviously, you know, he's somebody that, when I was a little kid, you know, watching him go through his whole career. So it's really impressive, obviously, first of all, just to watch him and see him be able to do the things that he's, you know, still able to do out there. But, you know, it's a dream come true. You know, these are the moments, these are the times, like, to be able to match up against somebody like that, you know, the career he's had, he's obviously one of the greatest. So it's incredible.
So it's 96 points the last 2 games for Cooper Flagg as the season's winding down. Going into the weekend, and even before Sunday night's game, Flagg was trailing his good friend Con Knipple in the Rookie of the Year odds. But after his monster weekend, he's become the betting favorite. Flagg was asked about what sort of statement he made this past weekend.
I think it's definitely, you know, some sort of statement. But, you know, it just goes back to what I said. I'm confident in myself, and I know what I'm capable of, and I'll just let the rest of the stuff figure itself out.
You knew Coop had a little bit more up his sleeve. Well, it's the men's college national championship. It goes down on Monday night, but on Sunday afternoon, a champion was crowned in the women's game. The UCLA Bruins won their first title in the NCAA era, blowing the doors off South Carolina 79-51, a result that came as a shock to some Hoops fans as South Carolina was coming off a win over the undefeated UConn Huskies. UCLA never trailed in the contest. The Bruins had 5 players in double figures led by Gabriela Jaquez, who scored 21 points to go along with 10 rebounds. It was the first title for Coach Corey Close, who took over at UCLA in 2011. One of the best coaches in the sport without a title now has one, and she did it her way, pouring everything she has into relationships with players, making them realize they're people before players. Here she is post-game with her mom by her side.
It's immeasurably more than I could ask or imagine. It's beyond my wildest dreams. But it's meaningful because of the people I've gotten to share it with. It's all about the heart. And it would be shallow without an amazing village and incredible people that have poured into me my whole life.
Truly such a cool moment. Well, opening day was celebrated less than 2 weeks ago. I've talked to some Red Sox fans who are already sick of watching this team play. Following Sunday's 8-6 loss to the Padres, the Red Sox moved to 2-7. They currently stand alone in the basement as they're the only team in the league who doesn't have 3 or more wins. The Sox have a .226 batting average going into Monday as a team, paired with a .471 team ERA. Now, it is very early in the Sox, and the Sox could easily turn things around. However, the performances on both sides of the ball are extremely concerning for Sox fans, even given the small sample size. Sox star Roman Anthony says they need some urgency.
It's as disappointing as any loss, to be honest. It's not one man's fault. I think just as a team, we need to be better. I need to be better. Everyone in this room understands that they need to be better. We need to find a way to just bring more energy and just be better. This is unacceptable. It's unacceptable to the fans. It's unacceptable to the standard that we set for ourselves.
And shocker, the Sox fell to the Brewers on Monday night, make that 2-8 as the struggles continue. The Portland Sea Dogs will host New Hampshire tomorrow afternoon at Delta Dental Park in the team's long-awaited home opener. The brand new field at Hadlock is already in great shape. The Sea Dogs grounds crew putting the final touches on Monday afternoon. It'll be a 4 p.m. start on Tuesday where kids can get in free of charge. You may want to bundle up, though, as it's going to be pretty chilly out there. Some of the Sea Dogs hitters were asked how difficult it is going from the mid-80s to the low 40s while still trying to hit a baseball.
It takes at least a month or two for me to kind of get acclimated to it again. Definitely was a big shock last year coming up here and having snow opening day. Having the snow come down for that first home game was definitely just a big culture shock to me. But then just kind of after a couple months getting kind of used to it again.
I think it's pretty different, and in Florida it's a little bit easier to get warm, but here you have to commit to stretch your body because that's your business.
Snow baseball at Hadlock in April, a tradition like no other. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Bangor, ready to get rugged? Join the community April 20th for the massive grand opening of Rugged Roots Trading Post, Stillwater Avenue, Bangor. Meet the crew. Explore a wide selection of premium Maine-grown products. Doors open 9 a.m. Cut rate prices you won't believe. Can't wait till 4/20? They're open now. Or visit ruggedrootstradingpost.com. For use only by adults 21 years of age and older. License number AMS 1775.
The marathon of life can be challenging. Chores and responsibilities keep us from the things we once loved and the aspirations we set. But it's never too late to find your second wind. With an affordable, fully online program and advisors to help you along the way, you can cross the finish line when it works for you. Finish strong at the University of Maine.
As a hybrid pioneer, followed by years of refinement, Toyota has earned praise for creating the most advanced and reliable hybrid system. Now with more hybrid all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive models than any other brand. Like the affordable all-wheel drive Corolla Cross Hybrid with advanced tech and an up to 445-mile total driving range. So see your New England Toyota dealer, your hybrid all-wheel drive headquarters. Toyota, let's go places.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Welcome back, everyone. Kids in Colorado got treated to an extreme Easter egg hunt. This one didn't involve just hiding eggs in the grass. It's about strapping eggs to bowls. Yes, you heard that right. The wild hunt hosted by 4 Bars Gathering Church. Fox photojournalist Michelle Wells shows us firsthand how the Steel City celebrated Easter cowboy style.
I did have a lot of fun. I wasn't able to get an egg off the bowl, but I did have a weird one.
All churches celebrate on Easter. It's kind of the Super Bowl for churches, to be honest. And but we, being a cowboy-style church, is that we do things a little differently. Our culture's a little different.
My strategy is grab an egg. Do not get ran over.
Miniature bulls in the arena at the same time as we have people out there, and so it can be a little dangerous, but cowboys do crazy things. That's just kind of our culture.
I felt scared a little. Yeah, because it kind of went towards me, but I just fluked him.
I do believe that the cowboy life in the rodeo arena is symbolic for a lot of things in life out here. Just because we believe in God doesn't mean everything happens perfectly for us. We can get run over in life, we can get stomped on, we can fall down, but we get back up.
And while the Easter egg hunt looked extreme, don't worry, no one got hurt. Of course, everyone had to sign a waiver, and first responders were there on standby just in case things got out of hand. Well, now here's meteorologist Chase Ropanek with our full weather forecast.
All right, thank you very much. Your main weather for this morning is brought to you by Tick and Mosquito Guard as well. We stopped ticks and mosquitoes, now serving Washington, Hancock, and Penobscot counties. We are pet safe and have eco-friendly options available. Call today for a free quote at 207-263-3421. All right, so those temperatures for today will reach into the low 40s. Some pretty cloudy skies will be making their way in this afternoon as we have some low pressure arriving for today. So you can see off to the west, you're getting the clouds earlier on, keeping you in the mid to upper 30s out there for today and hanging out in the mid to upper 20s, well, further north as well. So our average highs this time of year around 49. Definitely not doing that for today or tomorrow as well, even though we'll have sunshine, but that sunshine continues into your Thursday and Friday. So temperatures continue to increase as well. We could be reaching your 60 for your Friday afternoon. We'll have a cold front pass through Friday night, bringing some showers to the area, so we're cooling off momentarily Saturday. But then Sunday and Monday, we're warming right back up with those mid to upper 50s, staying above average into next week. So wind out there for today, going to stay fairly light throughout this morning into the afternoon hours. You can see here at 5 o'clock, pretty light winds here, especially along your coastline as well. But that will be the center of the low passing by, and maybe some scattered snow showers out there at this time of the day. As we get into tonight's right around 10 o'clock, the backside of that low pressure will be passing by, so momentarily winds can gust near 20 miles per hour, maybe 30 near your coastline. But again, as we get into your Wednesday morning, they're going to lighten up and stay a little breezy at times, maybe gusting near 15 miles per hour, but otherwise pretty light throughout your Wednesday afternoon. So as we see out there for today, here comes the clouds making their way in right around noon, and will stay cloudy throughout the rest of the day. And yes, scattered snow showers. Some of us can stay dry. It depends on where your dew points are at. It is going to be hard for this to reach a surface at first, but then right around 5 o'clock or so, they'll have some better chances for that precipitation to reach a surface. And around 10 o'clock tonight, a few quick bursts of snow passing on by, but then the rest of the night we're staying dry. Cooler temperatures fall into the upper teens and low 20s for lows, but as we head into your Wednesday afternoon, plenty of sunshine out there. That's going to warm us up back into the mid-40s, and we're going to keep the high pressure in place. Plenty of sunshine for your Thursday all the way into your Friday as well. So for today, highs near 40 degrees. We've got a few rain and snow showers we can see late in the day. Otherwise, we'll see increasing clouds becoming mostly cloudy. As we go into tonight, some quick bursts of snow early on, then decreasing clouds and cooling off with lows just near 20 degrees. For tomorrow, that sunshine is here. The high pressure is settling in. We'll see highs right around 45. So taking a look at your extended forecast, we're going to continue to slowly warm up with the sunshine for your Wednesday. Your Thursday into your Friday will be reaching near 60 degrees then. We'll see a few rain showers Friday night, and that will cool us off Saturday with cloudy skies and highs near 47 degrees.
Get ready for mowing season, for hauling season, and exploring season. Get ready for tearing it up, cutting it down, and working all around season. Because it's bad boy season all year long. Bad boy, power, performance, attitude.
Who has the best kept secret in Penobscot County?
We do!
Welcome to Maple Lane Farms, a fifth-generation family farm that's committed to providing you with the best quality products. Our farm-raised local and sustainable meat is flash frozen to lock in the freshness and natural flavors. Experience the top-notch quality of our meat that's naturally raised without any antibiotics or hormones. Get the best of both worlds, quality and affordability. Try Maple Lane Farms today, the candy store for the carnivore. Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers Central and Eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters, turn scrap into cash.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more.
When every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
Yeah. You had me a trash panda.
That was gangster. It pays to choose wisely.
Wed, Thurs.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it!
25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
A little girl from California is giving back to her community by bringing sweet treats to essential workers. 6-year-old Girl Scout Ariana Ogden donated a whopping 24 cases of Girl Scout cookies to employees at Shasta Regional Medical Center in Redding, California on Monday. As for Aria's fundraising efforts, when people turn down buying cookies, she asked them to make a donation to the Cookies for Heroes campaign instead. Her hard work ended up paying off at the medical center.
It was a lot of work and it was really hard because not everybody wanted to buy Girl Scout cookies.
Hospital staff received the cookies from Aria as a special thank you for the work that they do in the community. Meanwhile, the Oregon Zoo welcomes a special member to its penguin family. 2 members, actually. 2 baby Humboldt penguin chicks from separate pairs hatched about a week apart last month. The zoo says that both chicks are healthy and will be with their parents until they are about 3 months old. While the chicks will grow tall in just a few months, it usually takes a couple of years for them to lose their gray plumage and develop that striking black and white feathers. In the wild, Humboldt penguins live along the South American coast in countries like Peru and Chile. Since the 1980s, nearly 200 Humboldt penguin chicks have been born at the Oregon Zoo. Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us. Have a great day, everyone.
Today on 25 Words or Less, he quit medicine to pursue a career in the arts. Oh my God, and I thought I disappointed my parents as Matt Eisman. And joining Matt are boyfriend and girlfriend Mark and Darby. He won an Emmy recently.